Yeah, no, totally. So I can tell you about why I loved it. Since I really love design a little bit more now, but why I loved it very much was that kind of like a past love, like, and love is a whole other ball game. I can get into that later, but why computer science in particular? I Yeah, I mentioned it earlier actually. I was like, I'm out here, I'm like 18, 19, and I'm in like a class of like 30-year-old men. And for some reason, I pick up this knack for like just logic because a lot of computer science is just logic.
Yeah. I lay on the scale, you gotta glow, you gotta glow. She had my attention, she gotta know.
I'd like to welcome everyone to another episode of the Let's Get Up podcast. I'm your host Zeke, and in this episode, I'm my friend Anna to speak about being a tech major and her career path. I'd like to give a content warning for any strong language used in this episode, and hope you have a nice day and enjoy the show.
So, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Anytime. So, first question is, what would your origin story be, and how would you like to represent it?
What is my origin story and how can I represent it? First of all, that's a loaded question. Because where I am now, like, I'm gonna give you this. When we're all in our mid 20s, and your past episode was about how, like, how are we, like, we're adults, but like, we're kind of still getting in the motion of things. So, one really big thing to point out is that, a lot of people can go on somebody's LinkedIn profile and they can go on someone's like Instagram or whatever, and you can think like they have absolutely everything or they have all these things that you might want or need, but it is so crazy how the times when it's either like how did it's like, first and foremost, like, is any of it real? And then and if it is real, there's so many things that absolutely nobody has been able to go through other than that one person. So I always like prefacing that because it's like my origin story, not just like in tech, but like in life, has been like a roller coaster ride. And because of it, you kind of start picking up a whole bunch of things along the way too. Like not just them paper bags and chips that you get on when you're on the roller coaster, but legitimately, like there's so many things that we do pick up along the way. Yeah. I can give a little bit of background about myself, before I start going. As you know me, but just in case for anybody else, so my name is Ana Arias Gonzalez. I am an Afro Latinx software engineer. I currently work at JP Morgan and Chase Co. And let's see, that's a whole thing in itself. But I can give you a little bit of background about how did I even get to where I am, why tech, like why would I. But what was the second question after my origin story, by the way?
How would you represent it?
How would I represent it? And that's a good one. Okay. So my origin story, I would say, not just with like the whole, born Jamaica Queens. It's funny. I was born 1995. My birthday's in like 2 weeks. And a fun fact is that both my parents, they don't speak English. Like my dad, he took like an English speaking course, like I want to say 10 years ago, but most of my parents, they both don't really speak English. So when I was born, I have the same name as my mother and my father combined. So my name is Ana Cecilia. My mother's Ana and my dad is Cecilio. So when my mom went to the hospital and tried to say like, oh, like my name, like what my name is, the hospital didn't understand her, so they gave me one of them generic names for about a year until my parents could afford to legally change my name. And that's first and foremost, that is like the inequality in the healthcare systems within like low income communities in America, as well as immigrant communities and such. But I just want to start that day one, there was already some sort of discrimination in my life. As well as the rest, my parents have been through many a thing. My dad's a citizen now, but he had to go through like so many things to come to America. Like he didn't have the money to come the legal way, so he had to take a boat all the way to Panama, and then from Dominican Republic to Panama, and then from Panama just come all the way up. And he never stops talking about it. Whenever I want a Nintendo, he always tells me about his struggles, and I'm like, well, dang, Dad, I just wanted this thing. He's like, no, I had to pick up water in the river every day, you know? Like, you can't just go out, couldn't go out and buy nothing. I had to go for 2 hours to get to college or whatever. So, and that's why I'm telling a little bit of my parents' origin story before my own, because that kind of sends the basis of myself. And then, so my dad was a professor. He studied physics, and that very much not rub off on me. I'm not math related at all. But when he came to the States, since he couldn't speak English, he couldn't continue teaching. So he had to, he went and worked at a supermarket most of his life. He's a manager at one of the trade fairs in Astoria. And my mother, interestingly enough, I don't know too much about my mom's background. And that's generational knowledge. I kind of wish I had a lot more of, because that would save me a lot of identity searching throughout the years, but I didn't have that privilege, unfortunately. So if you do have that privilege, take it. You know what I mean? So always make sure to get in there. So I didn't have the privilege knowing too much about my mother, other than she grew up also Dominican Republic. Both my parents met here in the States, and yeah, she did hairdressing, then came here, did other things while she was here, and was a homemaid for a bit. Now she stays at home. But so that's a little bit about my parents, and then my origin story is a whole mixed bag, because I was born in Jamaica. It's wild now, almost kind of skipping where I am in life now, because it's I came I had I didn't know if I had food the next day growing up. I couldn't even own a computer, which is funny because now I do computer science. So we went through a lot for a really long time, and that actually kind of started where that ambition that I have today. Because one thing that my parents told me, and I'm an only child, by the way. So one thing my parents told me was that we don't have anything to give you. We don't have inheritance. We don't have absolutely anything but possibly debt. The only thing we can give you is an education. So I said, okay. And I took that to heart. And, that drove me to really have that spirit that I do now, to kind of persevere and keep going. So that's why when I was a kid, I said, I want to do business. I'm going to do business with my life, because that way I can make my parents more money and I can make myself more money. But my biggest passion ever since I was young was music. And sometimes I get a little bit sad now that I'm 25, and it's still not too late. If anybody wants to start a punk band, call me. But, one of the things I loved music so much, I really wanted to study it, but I didn't. Unfortunately, it was almost I had no way to support myself. My family had no ways to support me. So if I did music, it would have been a really long, winding road, and I would have probably gotten, I don't know. That's something that I would never know. Somewhere in a different universe, maybe I do. But yeah. And then, so I said I want to do business. My parents wanted me to be a doctor, and I was like, no, I'm not. I'm not interested. They tried getting me to be a doctor for career day, and then when I showed up with a stethoscope, teachers were like, "You want to be a doctor?" And I was like, "No." My parents just made me wear this. I want to be a business person. So I have that mentality for most of my life. I say I want to do this, and then I get to college, and so I started off at U Buffalo. And in U Buffalo, is a very engineering heavy school, but I was like, I came here, I want to do business. This is what I want to do. So tried everything to get myself business savvy. I tried joining a business fraternity. It didn't go well. Tried doing a whole bunch of other classes. Accounting was not my thing. And I was I really wanted to get up there and hone my strengths, because I didn't have as many opportunities as I wanted to. Well, I was in high school, I did internships and stuff, and I joined business programs. But it was funny. So to where I am now, right before transferring to Baruch College, where I met you and I met a whole bunch of people. I know, peace. Before I transferred to Baruch College, what I did was that I took a computer science class right before transferring. And I said to myself, hey, computer science sounds like the wave. Like it sounds like it's something that's going to be the future. And if I hate it, then I could just drop it. It's fine. I'm already transferring to a different school. So it's an elective. And then I ended up just like loving that class so much because instead of taking it as like math problems, I started looking at it as a puzzle. And it's like a puzzle that you got to solve to get like all the pieces of like code together. And like since you can make so many things with code, it was eye-opening for me, and I said, okay, I want to do this. And there's a big twist at the end, so hold on. But so I said I want to do this, and then from there I was transferring to Baruch, and Baruch, as you know, is a business school. There's nothing else other than business, maybe psych a little bit, but mostly just business. So I was like, what am I gonna do? Like I'm transferring to a business school. I can't not leave. And I tried to just make the best out of it. So that's when I went to Baruch, I knew like zero people. The people that I did know, I had like a rough background with, so it was a bad time for a few months. And then I had communications class a while back. And one of our things was how can I it was like persuasive essay. I don't know if you ever took that. Did you take that class?
Say again?
Did you ever take comm?
Yeah.
You got it. Yeah, so regardless, when you take comm, it goes through like you got things that you get to basically choose whatever topic you want. And I had what's that called? I had a persuasive essay that I had to do, and I was like, what if I can convince people in here to join a club? And then that's when I pitched that was the first time I ever pitched the Fem Code, which was my club while I was in college for women in technology. And, or rather like the Center for Women in Technology. And so I gave this speech and I was like, these are the reasons why, anyone of any gender should be supporting this movement right now. And then not just the inequality facts that are going on specifically in tech. And now that I am in tech, like I know, and I've seen it firsthand, I'm the only woman currently on my team. And then out of the 72 people in my entire big team, there's like five maybe. I'm one of them, and it's crazy. So that's one thing. And you can go and completely search, but there's so much inequality for women and women. What's it called? I'm like tripping up a little bit. I'm like, dang. All right, so there's so many things that are going on in the field, and I said, okay, I want to do something to change it. And that's when I started the Fem Code, and that was 2 really long years. I'm so happy to have met you through that, Zeke. I think I'm super grateful to this day. And to know that it's still going on is crazy. I didn't know it was still going on. I was like, what? People, I saw the Instagram was like moving by itself, and I was the one who used to have like the social media. So then when I saw a post from the Fem Code on IG, I was like, that's not me. There's someone else out there now. That's crazy. That brought me so much joy. Like it was a big struggle, but it was so much joy that it brought me because I saw that it legitimately changed some people's views, and it sparked the movement at Baruch basically to continue and start like bringing up their computer science. So pause me at any time, by the way. I feel like I'm just rambling, I don't know if like you just want me to ramble, but I'm here for that. And yeah, and then so there on that point, like I tried doing like internships and stuff. I interned at the New York Times again only I was out of 82 people, I was the only person from a CUNY, and I was the only buddy coming from a public school. Absolutely everybody else in that internship, all 82 other interns were like Harvard, Yale, Stanford, yada yada. And then they would be like talking about like what they're doing and like what their lacrosse team's going on. And then I sit there, they're like, "Oh, what university did you come from?" And I tell them, I'm like, "I come from CUNY. I'm at Brook down there." And then they're like, the what? And I'm like, never mind. It's a business school. It's down there. Don't worry about it. And but now I kind of regret that. I needed to show more pride. I had to be like, yeah, I'm from CUNY and I'm here, just like you. So it was crazy to the point where I got there. And but even though like I had all these internships, these clubs, we won the award, and I cried on stage, and it was a whole bunch of stuff. Like even though like I had all these accolades, like it wasn't enough really for me to get into the job that I am now. And that's kind of where like the story starts to shift a little bit. Because I wouldn't say, some people would sit down and they're like, "Oh, you're a success story, Anna, you made it." And I'm like, I don't know, man. It took like at the end of the day, you're right. Like, hey, I'm here and this is one of my goals and I did it. But it like the entire journey getting there was a lot. It took me almost 2 years for me to find a job out of college. And I say that because it took 9 months after college for me to realize that I needed help. And if I knew earlier that I needed help, then maybe I could have gotten here quicker. But it took me 9 months for me to realize like I'm not as good at this as I thought I was. I'm really not. And that's not even a jab at myself, like, oh, I suck, but that was sincerely like, I think I need extra help. And that's something I would totally, tell like any listeners out there that like sometimes there are times that you really have to put your pride aside and you have to say like this is something that's so important for me to do and get there. But and that's what I decided, okay, to do something. I went to the Flatiron School. So I did their software engineering boot camp, 15 weeks. It was like 15 weeks, 5 days a week, no, 6 sometimes, 12 hours a day of just coding, like nothing else. And if you slacked at all, like you would just get booted immediately. So that was very, very intense. I would recommend it for those who are sincerely passionate about going into tech because it can get expensive and it's very draining. But I met so many amazing people and I gained so many really good skills from that. So can't miss it. After that, it took me about 3 months for me to find my job, but I've been here for about 2 years, and even then, actually, it's not. It's like it hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows, is what I will say either, because it started off like I did my interview thinking I was going to be an engineer. And then on my very first day, I show up all shiny. I'm all like prepped up, ready to go. And I go to my first board meeting of the day, and they tell me, "Meet our new business analyst." And then I was just like, "Business analyst? I came here. You told me, HR told me I was an engineer. I didn't come here to be business analyst." And yeah, no, that was like the biggest shock. I went to like after work to like some local bar and I like cried with a few of my friends because I was like, I can't believe that I worked so hard, so damn hard my whole life, and I am still here. Like I still have to fight. I'm not done yet. And to be honest, I'm never gonna be done. None of us are, like, and I think that's I guess that's the beauty of life is to continue learning. And I have a tattoo, many tattoos. We have one tattoo that's dedicated to lifelong learning, and I have a small little Saturn on my wrist. And a lot of people, if they don't want to hear like the whole long story on that tattoo, I just tell them like I like space and it's fun. But I dedicate that one small tattoo to lifelong learning because there's so many things above us that we're never going to really know about in our lifetime. And I think the fact that we have like that search, that constant knowledge, like that constant craving for knowledge is something that drives me a lot too. So I have that little Saturn for that. But I went through some time, went through, banging pots and pans to make sure that people knew that this is what I wanted to do. And it took me about 6 months, and then that's when like an opening like happened for like a UI engineer, user interface engineer, and I got into that role. That's the role that I have now, but even that role was like hell and a half for a very long time. Um, and yeah, just really like, and I don't want to get so much into it unless that's one of the questions to go a little bit into it. So I'll totally will if you want me to. But that's a bit of that. It's been a lot of hill climbing. I'm in a better place now at work, which is pretty good. And even then, like I found another passion of mine recently, which was user interface design. Um, sorry, user experience. I said interface. That's what I do. User experience design. And I got that passion from working with a whole bunch of designers. And from there now, I'm actually in the middle of changing my career again. And a lot of people might be like, you work so hard to get to where you are now. You want to change your career again? And I'm like, well, sincerely, yeah. If it's something that I know that I love, and I know that I got to this one goal, I can get to the second goal too. I don't know how long it's gonna take, and I don't know what I have to do, but that's something I'm working on myself. So that's a little bit about my professional origin story. And my personal one is a whole bag of potatoes. Like, I can go into that one too, but I'll let you get onto the questions, and I'll totally like touch on that if that's something you want me to. So
But all of that, how are you gonna represent it? You gonna have to write a story. You gotta write a couple books. That's with your
that's
parents. Story.
that's a good question. I don't even know. Like if I could make an album, like a musical CD, well, not CD no more, but like if I could make some sort of way to add my story, make it into music, I would. But that one I would most likely pair a lot, or that, or actually when I was younger, I not that I'm not young now, as I'm still young, but when I was like 18, 19, I was going through a lot of personal things. And one of my biggest ways for me to cope with the things I was going through was poetry. So I wrote a lot of poetry about what was going on, and I ended up writing my own like small book of 72 poems. I never published it, but it's there somewhere in my Evernote. So if I were to choose two ways that I would say how would I make this story mine, I would say either through like an album of some sort or poetry book.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna make an NFT so we get all those royalties.
What happened?
We're gonna make an NFTs also, those new digital items that people are selling.
Digital items.
The
I heard
NFT,
digital maybe it's the headphones. I'm so sorry. Could you say that again?
NFTs, the new things that people are creating.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. I got you. I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be an idea. There you go. See, you're asking the real questions. But yeah, yeah,
So
totally.
cool.
You tell me.
So yeah, we met in Peru, San Close. I met when you're like your best friend, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. And I was tech at the time, and then I
Mm-hmm.
realized I'm not good at tech.
It's okay. I mean, I'm out here. I'm doing my first and foremost. Probably, I'm pretty sure you know your way through it. I'm pretty sure you do. But what's it called? I'm telling y'all, like, it's. I don't even know if I'm doing my job and I'm okay at it, but it's not what I want to do at the end of the day either. So it takes a lot. It takes to say, I don't know. I don't even know how to get into it. But point is, you're probably awesome. No, I know you're awesome. Put that down. But yeah.
Yeah. Where to start? Let's pick it up. So with computer science and everything, after you found
Hmm.
out you loved it, so like, what kind of like What do you love about it? Like, what kind of keeps you going with it? Like, you
Yeah,
keep everything.
yeah. No, totally. So I can tell you about why I loved it. Since I really love design a little bit more now. But why I loved it very much was that kind of like a past love, like, and love is a whole other ball game. I can get into that later. But why computer science in particular? I Yeah, I mentioned it earlier actually. I was like, I'm out here, I'm like 18, 19, and I'm in like a class of like 30-year-old men. And for some reason, I pick up this knack for like just logic, because a lot of computer science is just logic. It's not necessarily math. I don't do any math period at work. And I hope I never have to. But um I loved it because it was something that, first and foremost, you can, as I said, you can make anything with it. Like light bulbs, or like even like smart light bulbs or code. Like absolutely anything that you use needs code somehow. And someone somewhere made that happen. Just writing lines of this stuff. And it's crazy to me. It's insane. And then like the world runs on it, and it's wild to me. And then the next thing is that, as I mentioned, like that sort of a puzzle feeling where you get the chance to kind of like fill in the blank, almost like fill in the pieces for something. That was a game that I really loved to play as a kid. So I was a big bookworm, and I thought that, all these puzzle games were super fun. And then, making a living out of creating so many amazing things using these ideas. Like you can have an idea to make anything, and you can create it with code. So that's almost like a gateway, almost, to make your ideas a reality. And that was one of the reasons why I was, so enamored by it.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I feel like your interest in design, I guess, is like a connection to your interest in music. That
Oh, yeah.
now it's just forming itself in a different way.
Oh, yeah. No, you're totally right. Because it's funny, I spoke to one of the designers recently at work, and he was like, um, about that whole left brain, right brain thing, you know? And he was like, "You seem to be like a really right brain person doing a super left brain job." And I was like, you are correct there. I don't know. Sometimes I'm just like, how did I get here again? But I do like that love of music, that love of just like how things like a lot of design is ideation. It's like how are these things made for these users, and like what do users need to have this be like beautiful and like work for their everyday lives. And one thing I really like about design in particular is inclusive design, because inclusive design basically means that like it's designing for folks that a lot of folks usually wouldn't take into their first mind, like accessibility, not just like the colorblind and those that can't type in keyboards properly, but more so like how do I as a designer portray like my like what I'm making for folks that might be dealing with one sort of struggle comparatively to another. And then how do we even make that, how do like people like those conversations need to start happening for those things to start like being created. And I really love inclusive design because it's kind of like that segue to start conversations for such, like how can we create an app like one of the apps that I made. Shout out to Chanel if she's watching or listening. So we made an application called Save Space, and it was basically like a web app that allows people of color, women, the LGBTQ community to find safe spaces. So it's like to find, can we find out if this bar is a safe place to be? Because her, myself, and our friend Ruola, we went to like this one hackathon, and a hackathon is basically like a coding competition or whatever. So we went to like this one hackathon, and we were trying to go out on the town because it was a new place. but like absolutely every single place was like just packed with people that did not look like us and did not want to have us there. So it was very daunting, and we said we need to do something about that. But that's what I mean. Like, I love that attitude of we need to do something about this problem. How do we do it? And that's what design can do, and that's what code can do too. So that's why I love it. Music does that too. It's a whole trifecta. So
Yeah. That's what my mom the other day. I talking about like how design is just solving problems with
mm-hmm.
a different skill because like everything's solving problems. You know, I was trying to figure out how to do make a PDF smaller. I'm just like I'm just solving someone else's problem. With the skills
Yeah,
I have.
exactly. So that's why that's the whole that's like one of the beauties of it. And I wanted to ask you, so do you also do music as well? Or do you kind of just like do
For
your
me,
thing? Yeah, you.
I'm not really musically inclined. I'm more of, like I was always like a visual artist.
Visual
Used
artist?
used to like
Nice.
to draw, create things,
Mm-hmm.
and then eighth grade I didn't go to art high school, so I didn't
Mm-hmm.
take the what you call it, the Inchi test.
Yeah.
So then I just went back into like my math skills, and then I
Mm-hmm.
started get back into designing, do graphic design. That's how I got
Gotcha.
into design.
Nice. See, that's what I mean. See, you already you have your own story. I want to see you getting out there doing it too. Like, I love it. I'm excited for you.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I always like creating, but also I'm also really good at math, so like
Mhm.
thinking. So it's all
Mhm.
the same thing.
Mhm. That's the point. Some people like if you love math and run with it, do what you want to do with it. Heck yeah, you know. And thinking will come with any job that you're passionate about. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And I had to do music for 6 weeks in middle school, and I had to we were running like the drums and the
Mhm.
bass,
Mhm.
and the teacher put me on the bass,
Mhm.
and I was like, this ain't for me, so.
I feel you. That's my boyfriend. He has 15 guitars. He has it was like 4 basses, like 13 guitars. Yeah, a whole bunch. He makes guitars. He can play them. He can sing. There's a whole bunch of stuff. And then I look at all his guitars and his music, and I'm just I don't. You
He just
done
like,
did it. I don't know. We sit down. He puts on guitar YouTube, and I'm like, sure.
he just like, yes, I agree.
Yes, yes, if you say so. I have no idea what that string does, but I'm glad you love it. You know.
Yeah.
So
But all this another form of creativity, just
exactly. Yeah, that legit. He knows what he's doing with it, and I'm like that's one of my side projects is like kind of being his manager. Um, and I mean I do quotes, but like eventually when things open up, like I will also like network for him too. But yeah, so he's on his own way. He has his band. He's doing his music, and no, yeah. So that's the whole thing. I'm telling you, like creativity can be found in so many ways, and that love of music is really like one big bond of ours, and you know, so yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Go back to the college days with Femco. I remember those days.
Yes, yes,
I was nervous to join. I was like, why am I doing this?
yeah.
But
I'm
then,
stunned. I'm here for you. That's why I was like, it could have been a lot of my branding too, because I was just, I just wanted to do this thing, but I tried to make it, I wanted to make it as inclusive as possible. I want to give the voice to the right people. Um, like I want to make it inclusive, but I want to give the stage to the people, and I also want to make it very clear that, um, uh, I don't just like well, first of all, gender is a spectrum, so I can go on about that also forever. But um, uh, it's just like anybody who identifies as a woman, I want to put on stage for this, um, uh, and then I wanted to make it very clear that I wanted allies to be a part of this, and I encouraged, other genders to join and to be part of the board like you, because I knew that it was something. It's a global problem, and a problem and a lot of people ask me because there are like other organizations at Baruch that were exclusive to either genders or races or something. And then I was very like, no, I want to make sure that if we want to solve a problem, it can't just be it just can't be one group of people. It has to be everyone to be able to solve this problem. Like, I understand that the mic should be given to certain people because they have the experiences that, I might not, and someone else might. But as long as people are aware of the problem and they want to do something about it, I just wanted the platform. So that's why I'm so glad that you joined. I'm so glad that other men joined too. I'm glad that folks were given the opportunity to express interest, because I said a lot of folks were like, I'm not in tech. Why should I care? And I was like, you don't gotta be in tech. You just gotta understand what's going on and support it. So that's it. And if you're interested in tech, you can join in. But yeah.
Going back to the parent story,
Yeah.
I still get, my mom is an immigrant. I still get those stories like of my childhood was harder than yours, and then I went through everything. I'm like, okay, cool, that's great. Has nothing to do with doing like talking about right now.
Exactly. Oh yeah, no, and it's a thing. It's like there's the immigrant story, and then there's the grown up not white story, and then there's the growing up what's it called? Then there's the growing up black story. And then there's so many things, so many layers that comes through with it. And then, that's why it's like I try to, like, I don't know if maybe you've been through this at either Baruch or your current job or where you go, or anywhere that you go to, but sometimes it, like, and that's one of the reasons why we made the app in the first place, was that you know it's sometimes hard to relate. It's hard to relate to some people. It's funny because, like, now at work, like, most of my coworkers also went to Ivies, right? So, and then I'm trying to, relate to folks and speak to, a little bit about what I'm doing. And no, but there's that gap, and I don't know if you've ever experienced that gap too, but I'm sure you have, but regardless, it's something to think about. So it's something I keep in my mind, something that I would like to, like, how do we bring these stories together? And that's why I admire your podcast a lot, because that is exactly what you're doing. So there you go.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is a gap. I guess I'm just like I notice it, but then I just kind of figure out there's at least some commonality somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. That's why I said I admire you, the fact that you have a podcast to bring all these voices together, and hopefully, and commonalities can be found. There are there are things that still bring us together. So.
Because in the last season, my friend, she works at Pixar. She has a similar background to yours. She's from Brazil.
Yeah.
And then she did computer science in high school. That really got her into the tech.
Yeah. Yeah, I know her too, Lisa. She's wonderful. Like, it's been so long since I've spoken to her too, but if she's listening, she's wonderful, and I want her to know that. So
Everybody's connected.
yeah, exactly. Everybody is. It's wild. This world is small. We got a small world. So yeah. Yes. But go on.
Now with designing, how is your approach with designing?
What happened? What
Like,
was
what
that?
is your approach with designing? Like, how you approach a problem?
How did I push that? Yeah, no, I'm still working on that myself. Like, just I just created my own personal website after like 4 years in the field. That's crazy, because that's one of the first things you got to make, and I was like, oh, I'll do it later. But my push was the fact that I really wanted to get a portfolio done, and I no, so I'll give like a cool shout out to Out in Tech, which is an organization for it's a tech organization for LGBTQIA folks, and that org has been really, really awesome. They have a program called Digital Corp, which is basically where anybody, if you have like skill sets and you want to contribute, you get paired up in teams and you create websites for LGBTQ organizations across the world. And I've done it twice so far, and I would highly recommend anybody who is in tech and identifies as LGBTQIA plus, like, to try out and really volunteer for those things, because there's so many things like that, like, are amazing about this program, and you get to meet a whole bunch of amazing people and do all these things together. So highly recommend it. And like, I got a chance to be mentored, and they also have a mentorship program. And I had a mentor who was a designer a few years ago. And at the time, I was like gung ho about being an engineer. So I was like, what am I doing? I got a designer. What? And then, to this day, like, things happen for a reason. Because now I'm here a few years later, like, wow, if I didn't get a designer, I wouldn't have a portfolio piece to show. So I had these pushes where I was like, one of my main pushes was the fact that I was unhappy in my previous team, and that was because so if you don't have a good manager, you're not going to really want to excel in your field, right? If you don't have someone who wants you to grow and allows you to do that stuff, like, you're not going to. So one of my biggest pushes was I was unhappy and I wanted to what could I do? And then I did another interview with the New York Times to try to get a full-time position. And that's when I like bombed that interview, it like made me realize, like, where do I find joy? Like, what are the things that bring me joy that I can like do for a living for dollars, right? Because we live in a society, and capitalism. But so I'm trying to figure out, like, what do I enjoy? And like, I got a chance to like speak to designers like across Chase, and I got connected with some really awesome people, and I gained mentors who like kind of pushed me to go forward and like really like hone this interest. And now I'm hooked. Now I'm like, this is what I've been wanting to do the whole time. I didn't know that I could do this. Like, I didn't know that I can I can make ideas and collaborate with people and then test them, and like, it's not just making like something pretty. Like, there's so many things that come into it. And that's like what really got me into it. The fact that I can actually like create ideas and make stuff, So yeah, that's a bit about why I enjoy design and why I do the things that I do. But
So when creating, for me, a lot of times I don't like my creations. I'm just like, this ain't it. But I start to do it, I'm just like, you know what? I hate this. But somebody else don't like it.
Yeah. So sometimes there's that, and sometimes it's like, sometimes you got to push through because like maybe you might not, but someone else might. And then sometimes if you really are not happy with what you're doing, you're like, you know what? How can I make this better, and how can I make myself happier? But you also got to be like really aware about perfectionism, and you got to be aware about like, you're never going, like, not you as in you, but like humans, like, we're never going to reach a peak of perfection in whatever we do. Like, some things, like, they're number based systems and you can get hundreds or whatever, but perfection isn't. It comes down to like your own happiness, and sometimes if something doesn't make you happy, then you gotta redo it. But yeah, keeping that as stuff. But I got you.
Yeah. You did your own personal website. Did you code it from scratch?
What happened?
With your personal website, did you code it from scratch?
My personal website? No, I didn't. That's one of my big secrets. Now the world knows. No, so I used Wix, and I made it a professional account. Because number one reason why was because I needed it ASAP. Like I needed a website ASAP so I can apply to places ASAP. And I'm kind of going through a catch-22 right now, actually. And let the world know that this is what I'm doing now. But I've been going through a big catch-22 where, I remake my resume, remake my website, apply for design and engineering positions. And it's funny because now I'm living one of my old dreams in a sense, right? Where like when I was first starting out tech, like this is what I wanted. Like I wanted like for me to put in my resume and for all these tech companies to just come running. And that's what's happening now. But I put in my design resumes and my design portfolios and shut me down every time because they always see engineer and they assume engineer, and I'm like that's not how like it's like if you were to go down and look at my work you can see that I am also a designer. Like I put design, UX design in front of anything, but immediately they see JavaScript, the engineer does this for a living, Chase Bank, and they're like, nope. So I'm going through a catch-22 right now where I'm trying to figure out like what direction do I want to take with my life. 'Cause I don't even know. I think that's a big part of our 20s is that I mean I guess you don't have to know right now, but I for sure am trying to figure that out. So I don't know, but I think that's all of us.
Yeah, it's funny how that beans keep coming out. Everybody doesn't know. All my friends when they 20 don't know what they're doing. Just like
Yep.
kind of going with emotion.
Exactly. So trying to figure out patience and stuff, but patience takes a while and I'm working on it. So constant job. What are things that you're working on yourself, Zeke?
Besides the podcast,
Yeah.
besides the merch, just trying to find a job. Because right now I'm 2 separate doing that mainly. But like I want more. So just trying to figure out what kind of career that is I want to do. And then just playing video games. Just trying to occupy my time and hang out with friends.
Yeah. And that's awesome. That's why I want to know like I live in Brooklyn. There's always somebody on a motorcycle trying to do stuff. Literally. And no, yeah, I'm asking because I just like other than like it's been a long time, I want to know a little bit. Like I wanted to know about what like I see your passions are very blatant. I love that. Like you show that you're passionate about these things, right? So that's why I'm thinking like, what kind of things are you growing on right now, like personally?
And then I built the website for the podcast. I found the template, and then since I took the HTML class, I was able to edit it. And I was like, okay, I know what I'm doing.
Nice.
But other than that,
that's what I'm saying. I'm like working on like emotionally, like what are things that you're moving on? Like I'm working on patience. So I want to know like what you're doing. Yeah.
Emotionally, I don't know. Right now, I guess I'm working on like ambition. Like I have higher ambition than where I'm at, and then I want to achieve them. Even though I know it's gonna take a little time.
Yeah.
Everybody's story says it takes at least 10 years, but you still kind of need that. I remember reading things that don't ever be satisfied, but be grateful. So like be grateful that you at and like things or where they're at and like they're doing well, but like don't be satisfied with it right now, but keep wanting to go forward.
That's true. No, being grateful, that's another big thing. I'm working on that too. So I'll tell you that much. No, that's awesome, man. I love that. I'm glad.
Yeah. We do.
What happened?
I'm just trying to think of the question.
Yeah, go ahead. Take your time. I'm all ears,
Yeah. Talk about tech, talk about design, talk about personal growth, and then going back to that, these podcasters commented on the video saying that it took about 40, 50 when you become an adult because they're in their 30s, they're still trying to figure things out.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Like, so I don't know, man. Like, life is wild. All right, it's wild. I'm 26 in like a week, and I'm just trying to figure out where to live next. I'm moving out on my own soon because now I'm finally like I have an apartment, but I have a roommate. So my next apartment's gonna be solo. I'm gonna roll dolo, and I'm like now I have to think about adult purchases. Like I want a Roomba. Is that adult purchase? I had to be like, what kind of detergent should I use for my sink? I'm trying to figure out what happened.
Like the memes you like, you know, you're adult when like stuff like this. It's just you where you have like different like dish racks and everything. You're just like, oh, that'd be nice.
My boyfriend showed me that meme today. Today he sent that one. He's like, we're gonna get this dish rack next. And I'm like, today he sent me that same meme with that dish rack with everything going on. I was like, nice. I'm be trying. I need one of them. Right now I have like all my like spices and this one spice rack type thing. It's just like falling all the time, and I'm like, I need something. So I gotta like you gotta go into like carpet cleaners, and what do I need curtains for? So I don't know. I'm still trying to figure things out myself, and I don't know. I think personally, I've done a lot of growing. I think both like my loved ones around me. I also think therapy, because therapy is very important. I'm no longer going, but I went for about 5 years, and it doesn't mean I'm not going to go over again. I totally might, but I should again. But I thank therapy for a lot of it because it really, even when like you're at your lowest points, and even if you're not at your lowest points, like I still recommend therapy to anyone because it is a non-biased way for you to be able to go through and really like pinpoint why you are the way you are and what you can do to kind of get to the you that you want to be almost. And I know I was going through a lot of things, and I went to therapy to kind of cope and learn what I can do for myself, and have a voice that isn't like a completely third party voice that aren't like just the people around you and you're in these situations. So I think that for a lot of my growth too, and I recommend it. It sounds expensive, like therapy. It's what like I can go into that too. Like therapy is super. Like it seems super expensive, but I'll tell you that like with like some health insurances, even if you don't have health insurance, and you can get like either the free kind like Medicaid. Like when I was on Medicaid, I got therapy for free. So that's one thing. And then if you don't qualify, like there are so many options, and I would 100% like always push that for anybody. Mental health is one of my biggest things. So I really want to get that out there, put that message out there to anybody listening. So it's okay to get help. It's okay, folks.
I've been to therapy before, last semester of college.
Good. That's amazing. Like I'm telling you, like it's so important. So yeah.
Yeah. Adult stuff.
Adult stuff. If anybody knows what kind of Roomba I should get, I don't want to pay $500 for a Roomba. They got like the teeny versions for like $150, and I'm like, are they worth it? I'll go on Amazon. It's fine. No, actually, I don't even know. I don't even want to support Amazon either. That's another thing. That's another rant. But I'll figure it out.
My friend has one of those.
Mm-hmm. Do they like it? Really?
Yeah.
They'll do it. Ask them. Let me know. Even like another thing, people, and I don't know if you've heard about this too, but Peloton, like I've been like so many people at my job have a Peloton bike. Part of me thinks it's a status symbol.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're like $3,000, and I'm like,
I have a bike.
Yeah, right. I could get like my gym membership $15 to get my gym on. But yeah, I'm just like, a lot of people are really into that, and I'm like, can I get a non-expensive version? Do I even like spin class? I don't know. I'll figure it out.
I just ride my bike around the neighborhood a couple of times.
Yeah.
Same concept.
You put on a YouTube video about keep going. Get it for free. Yeah. So, I don't know. Hopefully I'll figure it out. I'm sure that you will too, as long as, we got support from people, and there's so many things that you get support from friends, family, if you have that privilege. Like, it's a big thing. So,
Yeah. It's been like an hour, so I just to call it. So the
yeah.
last question will be, what would you name your origin story?
What would I name my origin story? Dang. You sit down, you come in like you got a story, and then you're like, what would I name my book? I named what I would like when I wrote my book. I named it Starry Eyed Girl. But I don't know if I want to continue with that. Although I guess that could be my first album too. I'm gonna go with Starry Eyed Girl, I guess, because that's what I started with. Although I'm a woman now. I'm no longer a girl, so. But we'll see. Start with that. Yeah.
So, thank you for coming on the podcast again.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I felt like I was like rambling. I'm like, please stop me at any time. You tell me I'm like going on a thing. You say, nah, this is all right. And I'll be like, okay, fine. But no, but thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad to hear that you're doing well. I wish you absolutely all the best. And I really hope that, I like helped out in some way, or like gained some, I don't know. Hopefully we all gain something today. So,
Hi, you too, of
alrighty
course.
then. Alrighty then. Thank you, friend.
No problem.
Thank you for everything.
I'll try.
That brings another episode of the Let's Get Podcast to a close. Again, I'd like to thank my friend Anna for joining the podcast. For next week, my friend Zachary will be returning to the podcast, interviewing me. Hope you continue a nice day, and I hope to see you there.